This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Sunday. That was a seamless transition. I like that. We just started recording for the podcast. We brought YouTube on in. Yeah, it was clinically. Good evening. I was wondering where you're always here early. We were on like 40 minutes early, just chilling. I didn't want to get high by myself. And I wanted to get high. There's like 40 minutes until the show. Tones, good evening. Igloo, my friend. Speaking of getting high. I didn't want anybody to think that I was like, bailing on doing a Troll Patrol. I wanted to find out what that news be doing. This is the brand. This is what people come for. So I can't shirk on that responsibility. Good evening, welcome all. Light one up, tip one back, especially tonight when we're going to be talking about two elections that had looked dire. We've come out with the left being the majority party in France, the reform candidate winning in Iran. We're going to hear the first speech from Keir Starmer, where he's already tagging to the right, where he's saying some tough decisions are going to have to be made. First speech from the new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. The Pope says democracy around the world not in good health. Speaking of not in good health, the calls continue to grow for Joe Biden to step down. Lindsey Graham is going to give us his opinion. Then we're going to hear from 2016, 2020, 2020, 2020 presidential candidate. Let me do that again. 2016 and 2020 presidential candidate, one Mr. Bernard Sanders. He's telling us we need to focus on policy. Biden has been on a barrage of interviews over the last couple of days. Several campaign stops, including today. He was apparently giving interviewers questions to ask. His aides providing questions to ask of the president. Speaking of presidential candidates, RFK Jr. is going around the country saying that the government killed two of his family members. Somebody on Twitter was asking, like, why isn't this a bigger story? And I was like, you know what? It's worth mentioning. Missouri has rejected delegates. It was the national Missouri has had their delegates rejected by the national RNC.
Come on, man.
Candidate in Arizona has been accused of stolen valor. Punk, shoo! Sleep on that thing. Do you know the name of this guy right here? This guy? I don't either. It was his show that this young lady appeared on, and he and his partner are upset that they aren't getting any recognition from this moment going viral. Boo-hoo! That's one of the downfalls when you have because here's the thing, like with my content, I get to know you guys. We grow together. I'm adding people on one by one who actually enjoy the content and want to be a part of the community. This is viral flash in the pan, people move on. I'm sorry people didn't hit the like and subscribe button, brother. Hulk Hogan has a new beer. I think it's called Real American Beer. And he had a brand ambassador. Apparently fired her when he found out that she was black. Hogan has been accused of racism in the past. As your resident wrestling expert, I would like to tell you that Hogan has indeed been called a racist in the past. Minty, good evening. Vikings players, a Vikings rookie player has been killed in a car crash along with several others. Cops detained 200 juveniles in LA. We're gonna watch a building fire. There's a boat stuck in a tunnel. That's probably gonna be my favorite video of the night, the boat stuck in the tunnel. Florida man was arrested after withdrawing 1 cent from the bank. Florida man. Florida man was shot by his ex-stepson. This happened in Miami. A German mother threw her baby out the window because she was worried it would jeopardize her job working for Porsche. M-Lord, Macho Man, one of my absolute favorite wrestlers of all time. Several children were, because it's just another day. So, of course, I'm getting ready to hit you with this headline.
He's kicking authority in the ball.
Not that. Oh, wrong one. Sorry about that. Several children shot inside a McDonald's in New York. The mass shooting in Florence, Kentucky, just outside of Cincinnati. Amazon has been accused of all kinds of shit. I don't even remember what it was. I'm sorry. It doesn't say in my notes over here. I forget what it was. But it's Amazon's One Medical program. Has been accused of all kinds of stuff after a document leak. All that and a lot freaking more tonight. Oh, the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. Welcome. Sparkles, good evening. Let me might need to pack this again and then we'll be ready to go. Oh, shoo! I don't know why this keeps me laughing. This is an old meme. I just used it tonight because It was probably the funniest thing I saw, and it went in with one of the stories that we're doing. Because apparently this dude mad. He big mad. He's mad that she's famous and he's not. And I think that's funny. Oh, goddamn.
Hey, Justin, are you trolling?
Yes, always be trolling. Always be trolling. Let's get to that news. Let's start trying to get to the news at 10 after. Instead of me rambling for 20 minutes. Let's do 10 after. I got my rambling out because I was on, before we came on. Did Macron give it some Tua? French President Emmanuel Macron cast his ballot. There's no sound on this. Hold me to it if it makes for a better stream for everybody. A more digestible product. This was Emmanuel Macron earlier today in Paris, France, casting his ballot in this is the runoff election where the left coming in with the surprise win. They will be the majority coalition in government. The right left stinging after overperforming in the first round of elections.
The second round of France's parliamentary elections looks set to deliver a very surprising result, with Marine Le Pen's far-right party forecast to come third in a poll in which they were expected to come top. This was an election in which her political opponents cooperated with each other in the hope of keeping her party from power. According to projections by French broadcaster France 2, the left-wing New Popular Front
Great, good evening.
appears to have the most votes. President Macron's ensemble, shown in purple, is in second place, and Marine Le Pen's anti-immigration national rally in navy blue has been pushed into third after it won the most votes in the first round last weekend. But none of these groups is on course for an absolute majority. Our first report is from our Europe editor, Katya Adler, who was at National Rally's headquarters.
In a shock result for all and a huge relief for many here, the far left coalition has unexpectedly become the biggest party in the French parliament, beating the far right.
The vote is final. The defeat of the president and his coalition has been clearly confirmed.
Equally stunned by tonight's results, Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party. So sure victory would be theirs, except it wasn't.
At an absolute loss for words, it seems. This has been a huge slap in the face for Marine Le Pen's party. All the polls before this
Slap her in the face.
they at least would become the largest party in the French parliament. They said they were poised to govern, but the French people today said a resounding no.
Me. Good evening.
Rightly in the first round of this election.
Unfortunately, an alliance of dishonor and a dangerous electoral arrangement set up by this government with the far-left coalition has deprived the French people of a political recovery.
So, Emmanuel Macron's gamble, calling this snap election, paid off. Or did it? No party has a majority to govern in France now, and President Macron's Prime Minister has just announced his resignation. Just ahead of hosting the Olympic Games, with all eyes on France, this EU and military power, key ally of Ukraine, has plunged into political limbo. And when France is unstable...
I didn't even think about that. They're mere, what, weeks? Is it like a month exactly? It's like the beginning of August that the Olympics start. Was it go for 2-3 weeks?
And distracted, the impact can reverberate outside the country too. Katya Adler, BBC News, Paris.
Well, the National Rally campaigned on a strong anti-immigration platform, and clearly many French voters rejected that tonight. But the issue of large-scale immigration remains a deeply polarising one, not least on the Mediterranean coast and in the famous port city of Marseille, from where our correspondent Andrew Harding begins his report.
In the port city of Marseille, the immigration debate has dominated these elections. This has always been a diverse place, and Nigerian bar owner Prince Irogama sees that as a strength.
Because we have a family here, we have our children, we are trying to make the society to be better for children to live.
But the rise of France's National Rally, with its fiercely anti-immigrant platform, is alarming many communities here. The party is trying to divide French people, says Jonathan Kwame. That could be very dangerous. Incidents like this, rioting last year in Marseille, have been seized on by the National Rally and by right-wing media. They've linked the violence to what they call uncontrolled immigration. The same goes for the city's undeniable problem of drug trafficking and gang violence. Pensioner Frank,
that's not really a problem.
Worries about security here. Our country has changed.
Not having drug trafficking is a problem.
Too much. We need more selective immigration, he says. They're dealing drugs just over there. All the youths have knives. But that's not the full picture. In this poor neighbourhood, communities are still finding ways to integrate, to challenge the polarising forces sweeping through France.
For me, France is a welcoming country, welcoming to everyone, a melting pot. It shouldn't matter where you come from.
Tonight, in cities across France, plenty of ethnically diverse communities are celebrating the election results. These people have gathered in a Paris suburb.
I am really relieved.
So a huge sense of relief in this particular crowd tonight, but also the knowledge that the ever more divisive debate about immigration does not end here. This is our home, they sing. Andrew Harding, BBC News, France.
Let's go back to Katya Adler, who's at National Rally's headquarters. And Katya, you described France as being in limbo. What happens next?
Well, it really is at sea, Rita, because no party or bloc in France's parliament has enough seats to form a government. So that leads us here to political gridlock as a potentially very painful period of coalition building begins. And whatever happens, Emmanuel Macron emerges a weaker president. When he first took office back in 2017, he promised to banish the political extremes. But just look what happened tonight. Both the hard left and the hard right significantly increased their presence in France's parliament. Yes, Marine Le Pen's party didn't win the majority that it dreamt of, but it all...
Isn't that right, Lord? And I was thinking about it, like, immigration's good, especially if it's from places like you colonized, France. If it's places you colonize, it kind of helps you atone for your mistakes of the past because you got people that are acutely aware of what you did. Could be one of the reasons why we fight against immigrants so bad.
Almost doubled the number of seats it has. So all of this insecurity and instability, it's likely to impact not just on France at home, but outside the country as well, because of the outsized role that France plays on the European and the global stage. And tonight, that is of concern to France's international allies.
And Katya, what about the issues raised in Andrew Harding's report about people who have worries about immigration, who may feel that their voices have been shoved to one side because the other parties cooperated with each other and against the national rally. What happens to this issue?
Well, certainly here tonight, you did have that feeling amongst supporters of Marine Le Pen's party. They said, you know, the others, their opponents clubbed together against them. They smart at the fact that many in France see them as extremists and racists. They call themselves conservatives and nationalists. They say we're in a...
Yeah, extremists and racists. That's what those words mean.
Of living crisis, and they think it makes sense to put France and the French first. So yes, they feel they have open wounds here tonight, but they were also trying to put a positive spin on it, because look at it, with each election, Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party seems to get stronger and stronger. It performed stunningly in the European election last month. Its stars did shine, as I said, really brightly in the first round of this election. So the mood here tonight is we may not have won a majority tonight, but we're ready to govern and we'll be in that place tomorrow.
Well, they said nationalist. They said that for me. The French, not the only ones with an election we're looking at. Iran has elected the first reformist president in 2 decades. This is 2 months after Ibrahim Raisi's death in a helicopter crash because of fog. Little-known politician Masoud Pezeshkian won more than 53% of the vote. Pezeshkian, a 69-year-old surgeon, is the country's first reformist president in 2 decades. As Iran's second highest ranking official, Pezeshkian faces a battered economy and increasingly disaffected population. Pezeshkian has vowed to address and we watched a piece where people said it the other day, and I don't remember how it was said. Pezeshkian has vowed to address international sanctions, resume nuclear talks, and rein in the country's morality police. Pezeshkian's election also gives Iran's leaders a way to soften their image as they fortify ties with Russia and China. It was a really nice mural they had right there, down with the USA. I like that this guy's kind of presenting it. Reformist candidate wins in France. I'm sorry, in Iran. The far left wins the majority in France. The Labour Party, hot off of their win in the UK. Here is your new Prime Minister. Here's Starmer giving his first speech. I'm sorry, maybe. Are we talking about Keir Starmer if beige was a human? Oh my God, it did it to me again. How in the hell? How in the hell did it do that? I don't even know. Okay, this time it will be Keir Starmer.
We're a Change Labour Party, and yesterday we started the work of changing the country. And as the dust settles on Thursday's result, what is becoming clear for, I think, all to see is the mood of the nation, of the country, what is expected of us, and the
I'm going to fight. It's you two.
That we have
it's not me.
Change.
I swear.
It's a mandate not just to govern, although it is certainly that, but it's a mandate that has put trust in us to change the country and to deliver.
Trust in ass.
Do politics differently, and that change started yesterday as well. I have, as you'll have seen, appointed a cabinet. That was done yesterday afternoon and completed. Some went to the Privy Council this morning to receive their seals, which was a moment in history. We followed that with the first cabinet meeting of the Labour government of 2024.
I'm still fascinated by this, guys. That election was on Thursday. Keir Starmer was moved in on Friday afternoon. He became the PM the next fucking day. Why don't we do it like that? I like that better. That gives people a lot less time to pull fuckery, like a January 6th. Yeah, hit the bricks, Rishi. I love this. Let's do this.
At that cabinet meeting, I had the opportunity to set out to my cabinet precisely what I expect of them in terms of standards, delivery, and the trust that the country has put in them. And yesterday I met Laurie Magnus, the independent advisor on standards, to discuss how we deliver.
Our system needs reforms.
At the cabinet meeting, I also discussed mission delivery, how we would put into action the plans that we had set out in our manifesto, and that we will have mission delivery boards to drive through.
Yeah, I didn't even bring up the campaigns. They called an election. There was a month of campaigning. Had an election. It's done and over with now. New PM, new government, ready to go. What? So it can be done? Can we do that? I think we should have publicly funded elections. Vermin Supreme is my favorite presidential candidate of all time.
Preparing those boards to make sure that it's clear to everyone that they are my priority in government. We also
ponies and toothbrushes for everyone.
And I reminded the entire cabinet that we will be judged on actions, not on words. This afternoon, I will continue to make.
I hate perpetual elections.
Appointments. We clearly on Thursday got a mandate from
month primary and month general.
For the first time in 20 plus years, we have a majority in England, in Scotland, and in Wales, and that is a clear mandate to govern for all four corners of the United Kingdom. And therefore, I shall set off tomorrow to be in all four nations. I shall go first to Scotland, I shall then go to Northern Ireland, then to Wales, and then back to England, where I will meet the First Ministers, not just to discuss the issues and challenges of the day, of course we will do that, but also to establish a way of working across the United Kingdom.
If your election lasts longer than 4 months, contact your primary care physician.
Years, and to recognise the contributions of all four nations. On Thursday, we also got a mandate on economic growth.
He's boring. He is a jar of fucking mayonnaise. He's a bag of flour. But, like, isn't that what you want in government? Boring? That was one of the reasons why I voted for Joe Biden. Beige in a suit, and it's not beige. I've got to say, I like that color tie he's wearing. But how plain is that? That's commie right there. That's like a... If your entire outfit was that color, people would call you a communist. That's about as colorless, green, brown, blah as it comes. So leftists win, UK, France. Reformist, I'm not going to say leftist, wins in Iran. I think we're on a roll here. But if Joe Biden was to step aside, which I think if it's going to happen this week. And it seems like the calls are growing. So people are telling me that I'm delusional for thinking that it may happen, but I think I'm like 60-40 right now that it is going to happen, that Joe Biden is going to step aside this week. Senator Lindsey Graham says if Biden steps aside, it's a dramatically different race for President
Senator
Trump.
Lindsey Graham, he joins us from Seneca, South Carolina.
Former President Trump.
Good morning. You just heard from your colleague, Senator Bernie Sanders. He said he's not going to meet with Senator Warner and those Democratic colleagues about the future of the ticket. You've been talking to former President Trump, your ally in recent days. You've even played a little golf with Trump. What's the view from Senate Republicans and especially from former President Trump about what's happening across the aisle?
Well, I think most of us are concerned of the national security implications of this debate about President Biden's health. Bernie Sanders' problem with Biden is he's not liberal enough. 70% of the public believes that President Biden's...
Well, liberal means market solutions, so Bernie's problem with Biden is that he's not leftist enough.
He's not mentally and physically capable of being president. 70% of the people believe the nation's on the wrong track. Most Democrats are worried about Biden winning the election. I'm worried about Biden being the commander-in-chief for the next 4 months. We're having a meeting with NATO in Washington next week. On October the 7th, Israel's attacked by Hamas.
Oh my God!
October the 8th, President Biden gives an interview to the special counsel where they determined him to be a nice man with a bad memory and you couldn't convince a jury he did anything wrong. I want those tapes released. So what I'd like to see is President Biden take a cognitive test. I think everybody going forward in the line of succession should have a
President Trump take one as well?
On a regular basis. Yes. I think all nominees for president going to the future should have neurological exams as part of an overall physical exam. I think people in the line of succession should have a neurological exam. My predecessor, Senator Thurman, was a very vigorous man, but he was 100. He was the Speaker pro tem of the Senate. This is a wake-up call for the country. We need to make sure that the people who are going to be in the line of succession are capable of being commander-in-chief under dire circumstances. Here's what I worry about, that our allies see a compromised Joe Biden, that our enemies see a compromised Joe Biden, and I'm offended by the idea that he shouldn't take a competency test given all the evidence in front of us. He is not only in denial, this is a dangerous time for the American people to have somebody at the ship, leading the ship of state, who seems to be compromised. So at a minimum, take a competency exam, President Biden and Trump.
Speaking of a wake-up call, many Democrats are alarmed at what the Supreme Court did this past week in terms of ruling on presidential immunity, saying that presidents effectively have immunity when it comes to official acts. You are very close to former President Trump. This is someone who pushed to overturn the election in late 2020, early 2021. He pushed officials who were working in an official capacity, like then Vice President Mike Pence, to the brink in terms of how to use their official powers. How will Trump use power in a second term in the wake of this Supreme Court ruling?
Well, you're going to have the NATO leader on next. I think what President Trump will do,
NATO leader,
pick up where you left off, pay more. About 18 members of NATO pay the 2% required. Sam Nunn had a proposal in 1986.
But I'm talking about, Senator, how he's going to use power inside the White House and the administration.
I think he's going to use power to get NATO to pay more. I think he's going to secure the border by using executive action. I think he's going to be a damn good president to right the ship. I think he's going to open up America to oil and gas exploration. I think he's going to undo all the problems created by Biden. The question is, will it be on a revenge tour? He's going to be on a success tour. He's going to get us energy independent. He's going to...
It's just insane, because I know for a fact that Lindsey Graham is friends with Joe Biden. He's not friends with Trump. He knows for a fact that Trump was a horrible president. This is just so brazen.
Control our borders. He's going to get our NATO allies to pay more. We have to deal with China. We're the sole supplier of arms for Israel. NATO should pay more. I'm a big internationalist.
What gives you confidence about that, Senator Graham?
But I want to tell... because of what he did before.
Well, he's had a lot of grievances on social media and his speeches in recent weeks.
When he was president of the United States, he had the most secure border in American history. When he was president of the United States, we had Arabs making peace with Israel. When he was president of the United States, we were energy independent. Inflation was down. The best indication of what Trump will do in the future, policy-wise, is what he did in the past. I love a policy debate. You know, senators want some policy debate. Bring it on. The policy of socialism versus the policy of freedom. Senators, that's what this is about. But I'm worried right now about the capability of our president to be commander-in-chief.
Senator Graham, you want to make this about policy, and that's
old lady Graham.
A point to make as a U.S. senator. But in recent weeks, former President Trump on his social media has been amplifying calls, circulating posts, calling for televised military tribunals. That's his that he amplified on
for Liz Cheney.
People like
also your friend, I would assume.
Liz Cheney. You say he's not going to be on a revenge tour, but he's been posting on his social media about not only taking revenge, but having televised military tribunals. And you're someone who has served this country in uniform. Do you agree with his push and amplification of those proposals?
Here's what I know. I know we're not going to have televised tribunal trials of Liz Cheney or anybody else. Here's what I do believe. I do believe that the country is at an inflection point.
Can we have a televised military tribunal of Dick Cheney? That I might be into, you know, if we're doing it for the right reasons.
It's the most important election, literally in decades, maybe ever. If you want to,
Liz is a horrible person, but she doesn't deserve a firing squad.
Trump policy does.
Which
I am confident that if he's president of the United States, very quickly we'll get our border under control. We'll become energy independent again, and we'll bolster our allies, and we'll put our enemies on their back foot. This is a very dangerous time. I do not believe. I like President Biden, but what I've seen, I am very concerned that this man is not capable of being commander-in-chief for 4 more months. So let's start testing to resolve this debate. Let's test Trump. Let's test Biden. Let's test everybody in the line of succession.
Well, you've made that point clear. Senator Graham, you've played golf with former President Trump. We all know you support Senator Tim Scott, your colleague from South Carolina, to be Trump's running mate.
Yes.
One, has Trump decided privately on his running mate? And who are the front runners in your view?
I don't think he's decided. I'm a big Tim Scott fan because I want to expand the map. Now, I believe, before this is all said and done, that President Biden most likely will be replaced. And Kamala Harris is going to be very vigorous, but she's for the Green New Deal. She's for Medicare for all. She's more like Bernie Sanders on policy. But if I were President Trump, I would make sure...
See, why aren't you guys on the Mamala train? Lindsey Graham makes her sound amazing. I want a Mamala. I'm on the Kamala train.
Sure, I pick somebody that could add value in 2024, expand the map, prosecute the case against the liberals that occupy the White House.
Who should that be? If not Senator Scott, who should it be?
Well, there's three people being talked about. Burgum, solid as a rock in North Dakota. J.D. Vance would be is aligned with President Trump in many ways. He could be a good wingman. Can he expand the map? Marco Rubio, you got a problem in Florida. I think he's a very articulate conservative that could help President Trump enormously. But somebody
got a lot of problems in Florida,
in my view, is Youngkin from Virginia. If we win Virginia, we win. It is over. So I'm hoping President Trump is looking for a VP pick that not only can carry on the American First agenda after he leaves, but also win in 2024. I think the VP pick by both parties, if Biden steps down, Harris is going to have to pick somebody to help her. If she does become the nominee, this is a dramatically different race than it is now today. I hope people are thinking about that on our side.
Senator Graham, thank you. I know somebody in Richmond, Virginia right now is perking up their ears at that mention in this season.
So apparently it was the same show that Bernie was on for the next clip that I have. If Bernie steps aside, it's going to be Harris as the top of the ticket. I think it's going to be Steve Beshear from Kentucky as the vice president. The southern white man balances out the black woman. I'm here for it. Better than Trump. Fucking shit. I don't want Trump to win. Accelerationism doesn't get us anywhere. It just got us the Democrats, trying to force Biden on us no matter what. Titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Man that should have been our president right now was also on Face the Nation this morning.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, he joins us from Burlington, Vermont. Senator Sanders, good morning. You just heard from some Democratic voters in those battleground states. You're a leading voice on the left in this country. Does President Biden now have your full support?
President Biden can clearly defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in the history of...
I was really hoping he's going to be like, President Biden can kiss my fucking white ass.
This country, and the choice is quite clear. You got in Trump somebody who wants to take away a woman's right to control her body, who thinks that climate change is a hoax, and who has turned his back on the working class of this country. And on the other side, you have Joe Biden, first president in American history to walk a picket line. We have put more money into fighting climate change than any time in the history of this country. We're rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. But this I do want to say, and where I am critical of the Biden campaign. It's one thing to talk about your record over the last 3.5 years, which is a strong record. But the American people are hurting. 60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck. 25% of elderly people are trying to get by on $15,000 a year or less. The American people want an agenda for the next 4 years that speaks to the needs of the working class of this country. And frankly, I don't think the president has brought that agenda forward. He has got to say, I am prepared to take on corporate greed, massive income and wealth inequality, and stand with the working class of this country. He does that, he's going to win and win big.
So that's your advice for President Biden. You want him to stand with working voters, talk about labor, talk about the minimum wage and those issues.
Yes.
Politically, can he count on you to be on the campaign trail for him this summer and fall?
He already has been.
I've already done 6 events in Wisconsin. We've been to New York. I've been to Ohio. And let me say this, and maybe the most important point, Bob, I want to make this morning.
Bob.
What we are talking about now is not a Grammy Award contest for Best Singer. Biden is old. He's not as articulate as he once was. I wish he could jump up the steps on Air Force One. He can't.
Bernie can.
What the focus on is policy. Whose policies have and will benefit the vast majority of the people in this country? Who has the guts to take on corporate America? Who is talking about expanding Medicare so we cover dental, hearing, and vision? Who's talking about raising the cap on the taxes that people pay into Social Security so we can raise Social Security benefits and extend the life of Social Security for 75 years? Who's talking about a permanent child tax credit to cut childhood poverty in America by 50%? Those are the issues he's talked about. He's got to bring them up in the floor. He's got to promise the American people that if they give him a Democratic Senate, a Democratic House, re-elect him, he's going to do that in the first 100 days. That is what I think the American people want.
Before he dies.
Senator, this campaign about the issues, about how policy affects people, it's also about how people see the stakes. Let's listen to what President Biden had to say on Friday about what happens if former President Trump wins the election.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
If you watched that interview with me on Friday night, you may be wondering, I don't remember that clip. Where did that come from? We figured this out in the Discord because the next day this was the clip that was going viral, and I was like, was I talking during this? I would have remembered him saying goodest. I would have remembered that as long as I tried my hardest, it doesn't matter if Trump is president. ABC News cut out the last 1 minute and 20 seconds. Okay, because remember, I explained it. The interview aired on ABC proper at 8 o'clock. But we got it on the ABC News live feed at 8:30. And they cut 1 minute and 20 seconds off the end of it. And they cut out before he said that. That's wild. Because Warlord went and compared it. He compared it to my stream. Yeah, you want to hear it again? It's embarrassing.
But what happens if former President Trump wins the election?
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
You just heard that, Senator Sanders. How would you feel if...
That's the clip that went viral. How would you feel if Trump won? As long as I gave it my all and did the goodest job. Holy fuck.
Former President Trump wins in November.
Well, I would feel awful as somebody who was opposed virtually all of Trump's policies. And I would feel awful if the American people lost the democracy which we've had for 250 years. And I would feel awful if we turned our back on the existential threat of climate change. But this is not about how I feel. It's not about you feel. It is not even about how Joe Biden feels. It's about how we win this election. And maybe what we should be doing is creating a Democratic Party with Biden at the top that stands with the working class of this country.
Nix, good evening.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, the American people are disillusioned. They are angry. They think that government is busy paying attention to the rich and wealthy campaign donors. And by the way,
well, they are.
I find it personally insulting that the New York Times and all these media organizations go out front page and this is what the billionaire campaign donors feel. Well, to hell with the billionaire campaign donors. Let's worry about the working class of this country and what their needs are. And let hopefully
is he President Biden talking to you?
That speaks to their needs. He will win.
We know is the president talking to you? You're traveling the country talking to working voters. I've seen all the video of you meeting with union members. Has he spoken to you in recent days? And is the White House listening to your advice at all, the campaign?
No.
Yes, he has spoken to me.
Yes, he's spoken, but no, he's not listening.
To be meeting on a regular basis with the White House to hammer out an agenda that speaks to the needs of the vast majority of the people who believe that both parties have turned their backs on them. Right now, we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had in the history of this country. The billionaire class has never done better. Hey, how about standing up for the working class of this country for a change? If Biden does that, he's going to win. He will win big.
Senator Warner of Virginia is collecting colleagues to have a discussion about the future of the ticket. Have you been invited? Will you participate? And what do you think of those talks?
Look, Mark is a friend of mine. I like Mark. He's one of the more conservative members of the Democratic caucus. No, I have not been invited. No, I will not attend. I think right now, look, I understand. Biden had a terrible debate performance. I think he's done better since. He's got to do better again. And I know that is a legitimate...
Kind of an understatement, Byrne.
But I think most importantly now, this is not a beauty contest. It's not a Grammy Award contest. It is a contest of who stands with the vast majority of the people in this country, the elderly, the children, working class, the poor. And that candidate is obviously Joe Biden.
Senator Sanders, I must ask, I covered you closely in 2016 and 2020. You've run national campaigns. You've been a presidential candidate. You know what it takes. If for whatever reason President Biden ever decided to withdraw from the race, would you be open to being considered as the nominee?
Well, right now
I would love it, but there is no world where that would happen. That question is just absurd. And at this point in time, Bernie's presidential ambitions are over. He knows it. There's not a world where we get a President Sanders.
I am running for re-election to the great state of Vermont as their senator. That's where my focus is right now.
Senator Sanders, we appreciate your time.
Biden has gone up a little bit in polls, so if there's one thing that's going to stop him from dropping out, it's that. However, the calls of elected officials are continuing to mount. The donors are apparently upset with him. Second Biden interviewer confirms he too was given questions in advance by Biden's team. He didn't get a chance to ask everything he wanted. Second radio host who interviewed President Joe Biden in recent days has come forward to reveal he too was given questions ahead of time by the president's team. Speaking with ABC News on Saturday, Earl Ingram, a Wisconsin-based radio host, said that he was provided with questions for the president ahead of his interview, which was taped on Wednesday.
President Biden, it is an honor and a privilege to have you appear on the Civic Media Radio Network, and especially the Earl Ingram Show. I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you, sir.
Fire away, man.
Can you speak to some accomplishments that we may or may not be familiar with about your record, especially here in Wisconsin?
Oh, that was totally given to him by the campaign. Earlier on Saturday, Andrea Lawful Sanders, a Pennsylvania-based radio host, told CNN she was given her questions in advance by Biden's team. You have video of this? Several top House Democrats call on Biden to step aside. This was just updated just a few minutes ago. More than a handful of House Democratic ranking members told House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in a Sunday call that President Joe Biden needs to step aside from the 2024 campaign. I wanted to see the clip. Mediaite gives you a hard time. Biden campaign spokesperson Lauren Hitt said in a statement, "It's not at all an uncommon practice for interviewees to share topics they would prefer. These questions were relevant to the news of the day. The president was asked about his debate performance as well as what he'd deliver for Black Americans. We did not condition interviews on acceptance of these questions. The hosts are always free to ask the questions they think will best inform their listeners. In addition to these interviews, the president also participated in a press gaggle yesterday, Gaggle, indeed. That's what we all did when we watched it. An interview with ABC. Americans have had several opportunities to see him unscripted since the debate. Going to hit you with a commercial break over on Twitch, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the other presidential candidate. No, not Trump, RFK. We're going to talk about RFK and his claims that the government has killed multiple family members of his. Could be true. Apparently, the RNC has rejected Missouri delegates. An Arizona candidate was accused of stolen valor. Amazon accused of shady business practices after a document leak involving their One Medical branch of services. We've got multiple mass shootings because it's just another day. We got building fires. We got a Florida man arrested for withdrawing 1 cent. Hulk Hogan, the wrestling legend, apparently fired one of his brand ambassadors because he found out she was black. The dudes that interviewed the Hot Tua girl are jealous of her fame. All that and a lot freaking more on the other side of the break. We do the 3 minutes on Twitch. You get it out of the way. If you're not subbed, you're not going to miss any content. We'll see you on the other side. Go refill your drink. Have yourself a tinkle. And we'll see you then. I'll get high with you guys over here that are subbed. Smokey in my lap. Done a good job of, I think I like the new 10-minute thing. We start at 10 after. I don't ramble until 20 after. News starts at 10 after. I billboard the show, ramble a little bit, then we're news at 10 after. That's perfect. You know, there's going to be so many nights that I'm going to ramble. Ramble on. If Biden steps down, it's this week, so get ready for a busy week. Should that happen, we are in uncharted territory. Well, I guess LBJ stepped aside, but I think it was a lot earlier than this. Convention in Chicago. They've still got some time. The Republican convention is in like 2 weeks. The Democratic convention is in like a month and a half. So the Democrats still got some time to get their shit together, but there's like 3 states that have deadlines about being on and that's the reason why they have to get it done this week. And I think with Harris on the ticket, everything's a lot smoother. But I've seen a lot of people say that it doesn't need to be a coronation. He needs to win it in an open convention. And like, yeah, do that. But like Biden, if Biden tells his delegates to go with Harris, that's the vast majority of the delegates. Probably not a lot of them would defect. I think it's a Harris-Beshear ticket. The immensely popular governor from Kentucky, a red state. Got that southern twang to his act. He's real likable too. You know who's not likable? Apparently Kamala Harris. I kept showing the clips the other day because like I thought it made her more endearing. But everybody in the chat is like, "Do you hate us?" My community is back. I just looked over and just happened to see it. My community is back. Welcome back, community. I'm going to get a little more high. I said I was going to get high when I dumped you guys for a commercial break and then completely forgot. I should really start doing like all the pot smoking during the space between the stories. Please get high with me, Socialist Aunt. In between stories, commercial break, shit like that. That's when we need to get high, so that when I clip them, there's no pot smoking going on. So maybe I might get monetized. Maybe, who knows? Somebody on Twitter asked, why isn't a bigger story that one of the presidential candidates is going around the country talking about how the government killed 2 of his family members? And you know, it's a pretty good question.
Fired. Sirhan was waiting for my father in front of his steam table in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel. It was a route my father was not supposed to have taken. He was supposed to go out through the ballroom, but someone led him through the kitchen and directly into this ambush. Sirhan was waiting and fired 2 shots at my father. The first shot hit Paul Schrade. The second shot hit a door jamb behind my father at head level and was later removed by the LAPD. He was then grabbed by 6 men, including the 1960 decathlon champion Rayford Johnson, who's one of my father's best friend, Roosevelt Greer, who was one of the fearsome foursome, and a number of other people. They grabbed him and they pointed at his gun. They grabbed his hand first and bent him over the steam table. So he was on the steam table on his back, and they forced his arm away from my dad. Rayford Johnson later told me, although Sirhan is a tiny little guy, he had superhuman strength and that he could not pry the pistol from his hand. And Sirhan squeezed off 6 more shots and emptied the gun. Only 8, it was a revolver, only 8 shots in it.
Was it a pistol or a revolver?
6 of those shots hit people. So we know what happened to every shot in the gun. The audios show 14 shots being fired. My father was killed by 4 shots from behind. Sirhan was always 5 feet in front of him. And there was 77 eyewitnesses. And he was always in front of me, never was behind my dad.
The large. This is juicy. I did not know that there was a conspiracy theory around RFK. Like they're like, this is like, RFK Senior. This is completely fleshed out.
The question is who. In other words,
so wait. If you give me 1 minute, I'll finish. And I think I'm going to answer your question. All of those shots, according to Noguchi, were contact shots, meaning that the shots were, the gun was touching my father's body and left a carbon tattoo. And they were fired from behind. The man who was standing there was a man named Eugene Caesar, who was the security guard who had led my father into the ambush. And he had one hand, his right hand was, or his left hand was holding my father's left elbow. He was standing behind him, and he had his gun drawn. He was witness with it. My father, when he died, fell, and I was with my dad when he died. When he fell backwards onto Caesar, and Caesar was on the floor below him, and my father must have known that he was being shot from behind, because the last thing he did was reach around and pull off Caesar's clip-on tie. And the photographs of my father on the floor have him with that clip-on tie in his hand. And Caesar then pushed him off and got up with his gun drawn, which everybody saw. He later told the police that he had been firing at Sirhan, but nobody ever saw that. There's no evidence of that. My father was shot 4 times. One of the shots went through his shoulder pad harmlessly and into the ceiling. The other shots were, fatal. The worst shot was the one behind his ear, but it left a carbon tattoo. And there's a recent book about Eugene Caesar. I had communications with Eugene Caesar, who died during COVID. But I was talking to him at that time and seeing if I could come visit him. He'd moved to the Philippines. He was an avowed racist. He hated his family. He had gotten the job 2 days before as a security guard at a security company. Had never been employed as a security guard before. His real job was at the Lockheed and formerly the Hughes airline plants in Los Angeles, which are CIA operations.
Wasn't that the dude from like the BBC gay show? Or the Bravo, like, Queer Eye or some shit like that? I'm not apt to trust Mr. Kennedy on anything. Just throwing it out there for you. The RNC has rejected Missouri's delegates. Don't know what's going on over here.
2 weeks before the Republican National Convention kicks off, the Missouri Republican Party is scrambling to find new delegates to send to Milwaukee after an ugly fight for control of the state party.
Yeah, the RNC yanked the initial slate of delegates after citing alarming irregularities in how the state party picked them.
Alarming.
Our political editor Mark Maxwell is covering both conventions for us this summer. So, Mark, what's going on here?
Well, Mike, it looks a lot like the Republican establishment is exacting revenge to crush the crusade.
When in the Simpsons episode, when they're hanging up the flag, they say like this flag only has 49 stars on it. It's Missouri, isn't it? Like, because Grandpa's like, I'll be dead in the ground before I recognize Missouri as a state.
Crusade of grassroots rebels who outnumbered them and drove them from their spots at the RNC. The state convention was supposed to be that where they would punch their golden ticket to Milwaukee to nominate Donald Trump, but now those delegates who already bought their flights and rented hotels, they're getting the disappointing news they don't get to go after all.
Please stop yelling. We have to have a vote.
Chris Gronhoward helped write the rules for the Missouri Republican Party state convention.
So we had a couple of breakdowns.
He watched as a block of insurgent grassroots activists stormed the convention.
That's what you want to call it.
The entire slate of 27 delegates to the RNC.
They threw out the rules. They felt like they could do that and get away with it, and so that's what they did.
His plan would have given the convention control of naming 11 spots on that coveted delegate list, and the party chairman could name the other 16.
They could have followed the rules and still won the day. But they decided to abandon the rules so they could get a larger chunk of delegates. And so that when you abandon the rules, there are consequences.
I think this is absolutely a counterattack by the establishment to silence the voices of the grassroots that have really been the backbone and foundation of the Republican Party.
State Senator Bill Eigle's team overthrew one of the Missouri GOP party bosses, a banker and donor who sits on the Republican National Committee, and voted to throw Eigle's slate of delegates out.
Basically, they had some of their insiders throw out the slate that over 900 Republican delegates selected down in Springfield as part of the state convention, and that's a real shame.
Ron Howard shot back and said the man at the epicenter
Ron Howard.
of dysfunction in the Senate wasn't
I know Ron Howard, and you are no Ron Howard.
willing to share power.
That's the problem with the people that follow Bill Eigel. There's no compromise. It's just, damn the torpedoes and full speed ahead. And this is a guy who's destroyed more things than he's ever built.
Anytime that you have a supermajority, you get some factions and you get tension.
That grassroots rebellion cost Derek Good his spot as an RNC delegate. He filed a complaint.
Poor baby.
If the party picks him to replace the delegates who won.
they feel slighted. They feel like they won the game and somebody else is going home with their trophy.
Sure, but they cheated to get there. So they did. They changed the rules. And the rules say you can't change the rules.
So who's in and who's out? Some big names caught in the crossfire. Bill Eigel and Jay Ashcroft were going to the RNC as delegates initially. Now they've been booted off that slate along with 25 others. Ashcroft says he's off.
You can't change the rules.
Someone else if that might help achieve party unity. The RNC gave Missouri Republicans until Friday to try and finalize that exclusive guest list.
2 weeks before the Republican
The rules say you can't change the rules.
There are only 49 stars on that flag.
I'll be deep in the cold, cold ground before I recognize Missouri.
In Arizona, a candidate has been accused of stolen valor. Guess which political party he's from. Accused of stolen valor. Which party?
He's a Republican candidate for Arizona House, but now controversy surrounds his military service record.
And Republicans in northeastern Arizona have some questions for Steve Slayton, accusing him of stolen valor. Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum joins us live with the details on why Slayton is being asked to suspend his campaign.
Steve Slayton carries an endorsement from State Senator Wendy Rogers. Neither of them will address Slayton's claims that he's a
fucking
combat veteran. But multiple veterans groups say there is a clear difference between military records provided by the LD7 state rep candidate and records obtained from the National Archives. If you've driven through Show Low, chances are you've seen this store.
Wow.
Flags waving proudly and political signs with messages clear as day. The Trump store, once a campaign headquarters for former President Donald Trump, now its very own MAGA land, a tourist destination known as a sanctuary for conservatives. The owner, Steve Slayton, has built a reputation, depicted here in a recent South Park episode, appearing to make fun of the Trump store and supporters.
Okay, nice to meet you, everybody. I need to get going.
Oh, come on, just rally with us a little bit more.
No, I really can't.
Just a few more minutes, come on!
But we arrived to discuss a different topic with Slayton.
Sorry, he's unavailable right now.
He's right there. Can he give us...
He's right there.
At this point, he's inside his office behind that blue door, and the candidate for state representative in Legislative District 7 will not come out.
This has been disrespectful to the Republican committee. This has been disrespectful for voters in Legislative District 7. We deserve an answer.
What Navajo County GOP Chairwoman Lisa Green is referring to is Slayton's military service records. Last month, the Navajo County Republican Committee sent Slayton this letter, saying officials had discovered that Slayton provided an altered DD-214, claiming combat veteran status and showing qualifications and awards he had never earned. The NCRC unanimously voted that Slayton withdraw from the race, citing a dishonest campaign and accusing him of canceling opportunities to speak to constituents about concerns. Important to note, Slayton's service in Korea is not being questioned. Instead, combat status in Vietnam.
All we really wanted was to hear from Mr. Slayton. Give us the details. How come the fonts don't match on your DD-214? If you look at the formatting, the words go outside of the lines, which I don't think the government would do that.
How has he responded to that?
He called us losers on Twitter.
The website says he served in the U.S. Army from June 1973 to June 1979. It also says he worked as a crew chief and co-pilot on a Cobra helicopter serving in Vietnam and Korea. But records Fox 10 obtained through veterans organizations like Guardians of the Green Beret and Guardians of Valor say otherwise. Retired Army Master Sergeant Jack Dona tells Fox 10 he was asked by Republican LD7 Senator Wendy Rogers to verify Slayton's records.
There are very, very serious and glaring problems with the DD Form 214 being provided by Mr. Steve Slayton. And
were we out of Korea by then?
It's been, now it's, to my understanding, it's so many different organizations have pulled it from the National Archives.
And we still got bases in South Korea.
Archives and Records Administration does not mention service in Vietnam. It does show Slayton was awarded 2 medals for service in Korea. The allegedly altered DD-214 says Slayton was part of the AH-1G or Cobra Helicopter Repairman's Course / Flightman. The term flightman is not in the remarks section of the official record released by the National Archives.
I come from an aviation background, and I have to tell you, Justin, you don't just turn you loose on these machines.
What I do?
Altered DD-214, the 4s and 7s in the remarks section do not match the 4s and 7s on the rest of the form. There are also 3 more medals awarded to Slayton, including a Vietnam Service Medal.
The Vietnam-Paris Peace Accords were signed in January. They were finalized in January of '73. You couldn't have a unit of 30 Cobra gunships flying in and out of Da Nang Air Base in 1974. It would have been an international incident.
Slayton enlisted in the Army 5 months after the United States' direct involvement in the Vietnam War ended. The document Slayton allegedly provided says he was part of the Nixon Vietnamese program 1974. We can't find any record of that program.
I'd be chasing people down to show them, right? Yes, here's what I have. I'm going to prove to you that I am who I say I am, instead of hiding in an office.
Back at the Trump store, as he stayed in his office, I tried to get answers from his wife, Karen Slayton. Shouldn't voters just get an explanation from your husband? Does he stand behind his records? Did he alter his records at all?
Take this out of here.
Why do you keep yelling at me? I didn't do anything.
We're asking just for 5 minutes of his time.
Don't tell me to take it out.
So we tried him again from the outside. Do you have any comment at all? 5 minutes of your time.
I like this dude.
Your records. Steve, voters have questions? For retired Sergeant Dona, he wants the truth as his own father, a Vietnam vet, recently...
Great job, Justin.
My dad did serve in Vietnam.
He's getting teary-eyed.
2 tours in Vietnam. And, he never came back the same. He wasn't the same. And this kind of stolen valor, this kind of stuff, it's an affront, it's a slap in the face to the people who were there and suffered and then came back and suffered more, and their family members suffered more, their children, their wives, their spouses. It's not right.
The allegations of Steve Slayton misrepresenting his military service record stems from one of his opponents in the Republican primary. That's former state rep Walt Blackman. Wendy Rogers has stood by Slayton's side throughout this campaign and has not responded to us on multiple requests for comment. The Arizona primary election is on July 30th. I'm Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum.
Thanks, Justin. I like you, buddy. It's almost like the GOP is full of fucking liars. So is corporate America, apparently. Patient safety concerns after new Amazon documents leaked about the One Medical call centers ran by Amazon.
Serious questions are rising over a new player in American healthcare, Amazon. The online giant has been moving more aggressively into hands-on medicine, including last year when it bought One Medical, a business providing primary care with scores of clinics across the country. But recent reporting from the Washington Post is highlighting new concerns about patient safety. Leaked documents show more than a dozen patients' safety was put at risk when their care was handled by call center staffers with little to no medical training. Caroline O'Donovan is a tech reporter covering Amazon for the Washington Post. Caroline, I want to start actually with the big picture here. Can you talk about how significant you think this move is by Amazon in general, and how significant for healthcare in America is it that Amazon is looking to get into this market?
Absolutely. So Amazon, of course, is, the second largest employer in the United States. It's an absolutely massive company. It has an entire cloud computing company inside of it. It's one of the biggest retail companies in the country. One Medical, the primary care clinic that they bought, it's sort of a drop in the bucket of the overall American healthcare system. But recently, Amazon
Didn't even notice that, Quesadilla. Good point.
if you will. They opened up a discount for One Medical to all Amazon Prime subscribers, which would take the number of people who are currently using One Medical and potentially increase that to the millions of people who have Amazon Prime. They're also increasing their telehealth offerings that you can access without insurance. So it has a potential not only to impact a large number of patients if all Prime members were to sign up for it, but also to kind of lead the market, right? You can see other companies following what Amazon's doing here.
So let's talk about your reporting about what we know so far a little bit about One Medical. Now, that company's promoted itself as very patient-centered. However, your reporting found out that they outsourced a key part of the medical process for their patients, that initial call that someone might make to express a medical concern. What did that mean for patients exactly? What did you find out?
So many One Medical patients, the primary way that they're accustomed to interacting with their health providers is through an app. But what a lot of people didn't know, and what I didn't know when I started reporting this story, is that before Amazon acquired One Medical had acquired a company called Iora, which is a senior health.
Or private healthcare is bad.
That company was all about providing people the most engaged, the most frankly expensive and intensive care that they could up front, in hopes of keeping people on Medicare out of the hospital over the years to come. Those patients were obviously accustomed to being able to text with physician's assistants, call their doctor's office, and get someone on the phone right away. In the year following Amazon's acquisition of One Medical, though, they made the decision to shift those phone calls to a call center in Tempe, Arizona, which they refer to internally.
Trauma Team. Oh, video game in joke. I was ready to say Trauma Team sounds like a TV show that CBS would commission about like a group of EMTs. Oh, it's from Cyberpunk. I've been thinking it's been on sale a lot recently. I've been thinking about picking it up.
As mission control. When you have these 65 and older patients, many of whom have chronic healthcare issues, who are used to having a very close, intimate relationship with their healthcare provider, and now they're calling that same exact phone number, and the call is being picked up by someone who may not actually have all the details about their charts and their health conditions and stuff like that. Obviously, some of the patients have been fairly frustrated.
Can you help us with some specific examples of what happened to the patients when they called this call center?
Yeah, so what was happening, what we found through the documents that I was able to obtain and see, is that patients were calling in with what are called red flag symptoms internally. There's 17 of them, things that would suggest, okay, maybe something urgent is going on in about a dozen cases, what we saw at least. Rather than connecting those people to a virtual health provider who could answer their questions right away, someone who is medically trained, the call center employees, they were scheduling appointments for these people same day or the next day, or in some cases a couple days into the future, rather than connecting them by phone with someone who could help them. There is a period of time in mid-February when this change was initially happening, when it seemed like just in this Colorado area alone, this was happening almost every day. Someone dealing with symptoms of a blood clot, someone with sudden rib pain, someone calling in with stomach pain and blood in their stool. So in the documents that were leaked to us, there's a doctor who wrote a note saying, I don't think these call center people even realize that they're
like at least 2 of those are deadly.
Qualified to do.
What does Amazon say about this?
Amazon obviously says that patient feedback is important to them. They really emphasize the fact that as far as they know, no patients were harmed. In a couple of cases, they acknowledged that the process didn't go as it was supposed to, and they retrained the employees involved, but they said, by and large, everyone is okay. And moreover, One Medical is a separate company and no one's medical care is being cited by Amazon, is what they said. One Medical doctors are free to make their own independent decisions. They also said that the call center, is there to increase patient access, which essentially means like you can get your phone call answered faster. But the patients I spoke to, again and again, and some of the One Medical employees I spoke to said there's a difference between getting your phone call answered faster, literally someone picking up the phone, and actually getting your problem solved.
Is it clear this was created out of a hunt for increased profits, or do we know?
I don't think we necessarily know about profits. Amazon famously.
Oh, I bet we do.
A number of years. It's a very data-oriented company, so things like how many minutes it takes for someone's phone call to get answered, or how much work one individual type of worker is doing in an amount of time, that's kind of the way Amazon approaches these things and thinks about them. And I don't know necessarily if they'll find in the long term that taking care of these patients who are on Medicare, who are 65 and older, who have chronic health conditions, necessarily melds with their approach to doing business.
Is it clear Amazon plans to do nothing but expand into this area, into healthcare?
Amazon
I'm sure.
has very large ambitions in the healthcare space, and I think we know that because we've seen them experiment with different things and shut them down, but then keep going, which is another very Amazon way of doing business. Their CEO Andy Jassy mentions healthcare every time he talks about the state of the business. They recently started offering discounts.
Completely dystopian.
Members, they're trying to get One Medical patients to use the Amazon pharmacy system, which they say that in some places, you can get your prescriptions delivered in under 2 hours by drone. So definitely they see healthcare as fitting into the Amazon way of life. And if you think about what Amazon did for shopping, right? Making something where you want the stuff, but you don't necessarily want to get off the couch. That's, I think, what you're going to see them trying to do with this healthcare thing.
Caroline O'Donovan.
You need to see somebody about your blood in your stool, but you don't want to get off the couch. You might have a blood clot, but you don't want to get off the couch. If you don't like the graphic crime we do, I'd say come back in about 15, 20 minutes. But you'll miss the woman throwing the baby out the window. That's kind of... That's one of the stories I'm looking most forward to tonight. She threw a baby out the window because she was worried it would hurt her chances of continuing to be employed by Porsche, the car company. Holiday, good evening. Iko. Good evening, my friend. I feel like somebody else snuck in on me. Rush, my good friend. So glad you're dead. Ah ha 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 ha.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
So go ahead and hit the content warning. Is this just another day?
Up yours.
Oh, no, shut up.
We'll see who cancels who.
I hit the wrong one, I'm sorry, because it's just another day. Yeah, Iko, that was the lead story tonight. The left winning the majority inside of French Parliament. Macron's party coming in second. Le Pen not meeting projections and coming in third. We're on to mass shootings here in the U.S.
Tiffany? Katie, thank you. 7:02, and we are leading the way with breaking news. A large police response to a shooting in a neighborhood in Florence overnight, and it is happening on Ridgecrest Drive right now. WLWT News 5's Richard Childs is live at the scene. Good morning, Richard.
Now, Tiffany, good morning. We've been following this since about 3 o'clock this morning. Called, of course, to reports of gunfire about 3 o'clock to Ridgecrest. Florence police working with Boone County sheriffs. Multiple people shot on scene. There are 2 locations, in fact, where investigators are focusing on as they move forward in this investigation. Now, again, shots ringing out around 3 o'clock this morning. We have confirmed.
I give him a tap on Grindr.
Office has been notified. We understand, again, that multiple people transported to area hospitals. Several of them we understand to be teenagers and young adults. At this time, not a lot of information being released, as police being very methodical in their focus and their scope of this investigation. But again, two scenes are emerging here at Ridgecrest, and then a second scene which is about 5 miles away at Hicks Road. We understand that's where a suspect in the shooting incident again was apprehended by police. That suspect transported to an area hospital. The extent of that individual's injuries not known at this time. But again, as police continue their investigation here this morning, it will be a long and methodical process. Crime scene investigators and processors are on scene working again with technicians. We've seen
I have a long and methodical process with him.
The scene, but as this neighborhood wakes
What's
up,
wrong with me?
The residential calm particularly shattered again by the news that is continuing to spread. There was an earlier call to service by Florence.
That's me tapping him on Grindr right there.
The scene, but as this neighborhood wakes up again, the residential calm particularly shattered again by the news that is continuing to spread. There was an earlier call to service by Florence police to this address, a noise complaint which was issued initially that came out earlier in the night. Then just a few hours later, the second call came in again with multiple gunshots fired. We understand as well that the coroner again responding to scene. This time we'll continue to follow this story and bring you more as this continues to develop. Reporting live this morning from Florence, Richard Childs, WLWT News 5.
Richard.
Thank you, Dick. Why am I like this? I used to do the news. Seriously, like I would sit and I was high then too. Probably higher because I had a pill problem at that time. And I would give the news to people. Fire resist. No, like it's just that's what you got to be on the news. that bleached hair, peroxide hair. Yeah, Imlord, that was back in the 2000s. That was long ago. I kicked my pill problem, went back to college, got a degree, worked in TV, done all kinds of other things. That was a lifetime or two ago. Now I wouldn't tell you that if somebody like handed me a crushed up pill that like I might not toot it. I get a little toot. They are bad ones. I don't buy. I will never buy any kind of medicinal substance like that again. Probably won't ever buy a Coke or a Speed or any kind of thing like that. Just don't see myself doing that anymore. I hooked up with a guy a couple years ago and he offered me some Coke. And I turned him down. I was like, nah, I don't think so. I think I'm in that headspace. You do you, though. I don't care. Next story, also another example of how it's just another day. You should do all pills only as recommended by a doctor.
Begin this hour with two boys shot inside a McDonald's. It happened overnight in the Allerton section of the Bronx. And Weekend Today, New York's Miles Miller's there live now. He's got the latest on that investigation. Miles?
Yeah, that's right. Two children shot overnight here at this McDonald's on White Plains Road.
You're not safe in a McDonald's.
There is a crime scene unit in here. They've been doing measurements for much of the morning here as they try to piece together what happened. Police telling us 10 o'clock, right before 10 o'clock Saturday, a 12-year-old boy was shot in the left thigh and back, and a 13-year-old boy was shot in the left leg. Both of those kids rushed to Jacoby Hospital and are expected to survive. But get this, police sources telling News 4 this morning that both of those children were the intended target of those gunshots. Now,
what?
Police are searching for a suspect this morning, and the circumstances surrounding what happened here are unknown. But again, an active investigation this morning inside this McDonald's.
Somebody got beef with a 12-year-old. They show up at a McDonald's to gun him down. End up shooting him in the thigh. What the
On White Plains Road. You can see behind me that there is a crime scene unit in here.
Sparkles, you got beef with a 12-year-old?
As I try to piece together what happened. Police telling us 10 o'clock, right before 10 o'clock Saturday, a 12-year-old boy was shot in the left thigh and back, and a 13-year-old boy was shot in the left leg. Both of those kids rushed to Jacoby Hospital and are expected to survive. But get this, police sources telling News 4 this morning that both of those children were the intended target of those gunshots. Now, police are searching for a
delicious burger.
The circumstances surrounding what happened here are unknown. But again, an active investigation this morning inside this McDonald's.
Well, I try not to.
On White Plains Road, where 2 children were shot in a neighborhood that is dealing with a surge of violence, shootings down, but other violent acts, including felony assault, up. That's the latest live in the Allerton section of the Bronx. I'm Miles Miller. Weekend today in New York. Back to you.
Miles, thank you.
Well, if you're not committing felonious assault, are you even living? A mother was worried she wouldn't be living her best life anymore after giving birth. Mother throws her newborn daughter out of a window to her death because she thought a child would ruin her career as an executive at the Porsche company. Woman has been jailed for 7.5 years after dropping her newborn daughter. Only 7.5 years? I mean, I'm as anti-police state as they come. I think we've got some draconian sentences. But murdering a baby should probably net you more than 7.5 years. A woman has been jailed for 7.5 years after dropping her newborn daughter out of a window because she was worried a baby would ruin her career. Katarina Jovovic, not even a whole human yet. I mean, how old was the baby? Like, when we say newborn, we were like, hadn't really, like, fresh at the snatch. I don't know that that's a distinction. The Republicans have already accused us of infanticide. Come on. Katarina Jovovic, 28, from Laufen am Neckar, Baden-Württemberg State, Germany. Is that the whole... That was the whole name of where she's from? Laufen am Neckar, Baden-Württemberg State, Germany. Württemberg State, Germany, was found guilty of manslaughter at the Hellebrunn District Court on Wednesday, July 3rd. Judges heard how she had given birth at home in secret 10 months ago on September 12th and then dropped her baby daughter from her apartment window almost 12 feet onto a tarmac below. Horrified passerbys found the minutes-old infant's body with a shattered skull underneath Jovovic's balcony and called the police. Whoa! I feel like I know her. Jovovic admitted to the crime at the beginning of the trial in April, but could not explain the moment to the court. She also claimed she had not realized she was pregnant, but the prosecution accused her of murder and of deliberately concealing her pregnancy from colleagues and neighbors. Prosecutors told the court that Jovovic thought being a mother would spoil her career as an executive in Porsche's legal department. She worked in the legal department? It was her decision when the baby was born, and as a result, the criteria for a murder conviction are fulfilled. Jovonovic's lawyers claim that it was at most manslaughter, as she had accidentally dropped the baby from her hands after giving birth alone at home without realizing she had been pregnant. She was just doing a Michael Jackson. She was just showing it to people. Defense attorney Malti Hosh, 53, said, "It is a drama that affects me personally. My client did not even know that she was pregnant. When she suddenly held the bloody baby in her hands, she was in an exceptional psychological situation. It was an accident. She dropped the baby. How the child ended up over the windowsill remains to be determined. Nobody will know." In the end, the court accepted the lesser charge of manslaughter, but jailed her for 7.5 years, which was more than the 3 years the defense had demanded. Her legal team said they planned to appeal the verdict. Neighbors told local news media that they had no idea Jovovic was expecting a baby. One said nobody noticed that the woman was pregnant. Recently, she had changed and was no longer talking to us. We thought she was stressed at work. I thought 10 kind of sounded right to me. Got 7.5. Apparently, the defense was like, you should give us 4. Four seems a little... Quesadilla, it's Germany. I'm just saying, I don't want to pass judgment on a people's, but it's Germany. I feel like not only, like if you have a group of people that would pay to watch something like a baby being thrown out a window, the majority of them are in Germany. I don't know it for a fact. I just feel that it's true.
And tonight we are also learning new details behind a shooting that left a man in Fort Lauderdale dead. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Chelsea.
Florida man.
Well, this happened on Nurmi Drive near East Las Olas Boulevard. CBS News Miami's Nikaya Carrero has been there several hours and has an update on who police arrested.
One man is dead after being shot in this home behind me on Nurmi Drive. Fort Lauderdale police say the shooter, his former stepson. The call came in Saturday morning at 10:49. Fort Lauderdale police showed up and found 44.
Former stepson. That means that he divorced the wife? So why did the stepson have beef? What was going on here?
The call came in Saturday morning at 10:49. Fort Lauderdale police showed up and found 44-year-old Christian Colon dead. They arrested his former stepson, 23-year-old Darian Masad Turner. He is currently in the main Broward jail facing a first-degree murder charge. People in this neighborhood are shocked.
Really crazy to think about in such a place like this. I came here for the 4th of July weekend with my friends and family. It's like mind-blowing to see something happen in this type of area.
I passed by and all the police were here. This is a beautiful neighborhood, very calm. This is the first time I've seen this here. This time it is unclear what led up to this shooting. Now, Fort Lauderdale police say this is still an active, ongoing investigation. In Fort Lauderdale, Nakaya Carrero, CBS News, Miami.
Speaking of mind-blowing, that's the meme. That's the meme I should have used for today. A 45... Did this happen in Florida? It happened in Washington. A 45-year-old man dead after being hit in the head by a mortar-style firework. Doesn't have the video. Hold on. Witnesses say a 45-year-old man was lighting a mortar-style firework in a Washington state parking lot when one hit him in the back of his head and killed him early on Friday morning. According to Redmond police, the incident occurred around 2:30 a.m. When officers arrived, they found the man unconscious and not breathing, laying on the ground. There is video of him from earlier in the day. We totally need to watch that. This is a good neighbor's bad decisions. Somerville man dies after placing fire. Yeah, the story we were just reading made it sound like he was hit by one. Every other story I've seen said that he placed the firework atop his head. This was the video of him earlier in the day. Very much in the 4th of July spirit. He is no longer with us. After placing a firework on his head. The last outfit he'll ever wear in his life. We don't know if he changed, if they went somewhere, perhaps. But I would assume that is what he was wearing when he died. Still setting off fireworks. 4th of July. A Viking Raiders, Minnesota Vikings football player has died among the 3 people killed in a crash in Maryland.
It was evident the toll in human life, a heavy one. 3 people who were in this Dodge Charger were killed around 3:15 this morning on northbound Route 4 near Dower House Road in Upper Marlboro. According to state police, the Charger was struck by a woman driving the Silver Infiniti as she tried to change lanes while traveling at a high rate of speed. The car also struck a Chevy Impala, whose lone occupant, the driver, was not injured. The preliminary investigation shows the Charger went off the road in several tree stumps and ended up on a service road adjacent to the...
Damn!
The driver was 23-year-old Isaiah Hazel of Upper Marlboro. 24-year-old Kyrie Jackson of Waldorf was the front seat passenger. Both died at the scene. 24-year-old Anthony Litton, a backseat passenger, died later at a hospital. All 3 were former football players at Wise High School. Kyrie Jackson was a rookie cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings.
He always had high aspirations
His grandfather, Anthony Jackson, was among the friends and family members of the victims who came to the scene. His grandfather recalls how proud they all were of Kyrie Jackson's achievements.
Doing the best that he could possibly do in life and with the family.
Jackson, Isaiah Hazel, and Anthony Litton were graduates of Henry J. Wise High School in Upper Marlboro, and all three were part of state championship teams.
They were still together, still hanging out, still doing some things together.
Westlake High School football coach DeLon Perry
getting in trouble together.
The young men when he was at Henry Wise High School. He also taught all three of them.
Isaiah had an infectious attitude. He was extraordinary. Everybody loved being around him. AJ, phenomenal athlete. You know, he could do anything he wanted. Kyrie, belief in himself, was incredible.
And he adds he was inspired by the three young men, and they'll continue to inspire others. As police began their investigation into the deadly crash, loved ones of the victims began to deal with the loss.
We're going to try to get through this as best as we possibly can.
The driver of the third vehicle that was struck was uninjured. State police say the driver of the Infiniti, identified as 23-year-old Corey Klingman, and two passengers in her car were also uninjured. Police say alcohol may have been a factor in the crash. Derek Ward, News 4.
Oh, I would get... What?
News and top stories.
Shut up, Lester.
ABC News app. Or
I wasn't expecting him that time. Usually I'm waiting on him. Let's go ahead and get these ads on Twitch out of the way. We've still got several fun stories to talk about. Over 200 juveniles caused a disturbance in California. A man was arrested for withdrawing 1 cent from the bank. We got a building fire. We got a boat stuck in a tunnel. We got Hulk Hogan firing a black person because he's a racist piece of shit. Eat Clinically's whole ass, Lester.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
To be clear, I don't even know what Lester did. Lester's not bad at his job. We're gonna take a commercial break, and you're not gonna miss any content. I'm just gonna sit here and get high with everybody. 3 minutes, we'll be right back. Eat Clinically's entire ass. The whole fucking thing. Don't miss a single crevice, fold, indent. Sorry for talking about your ass, Clinically. You people bring out the worst in me. Let me go get some tea. See, earlier I got up to go do something and I went to take my headphones off. I didn't have headphones on. That time I stood up, I had headphones on. Law Dog, what's up, friend? I think the fact that Lester is good at his job is probably like one of the reasons why it's funny. Makes it even more humorous. At least for me. I don't know how it was for you. It was good for me. Was it good for you? I deserve a titty slap for that.
A titty slap! What? Give me those titties, Come on, huh?
now.
Give me those titties, huh? 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 Give me th
I chugged the last of my milk the other day, and I set the gallon down. I didn't realize it when I took the trash out last night. I was like, oh, God damn it, I didn't get that milk carton. Yeah, was it Brian Williams that said he was on the helicopter and they were shooting at him or some shit? Or was that Dan Rather? I feel like Dan Rather had his own scandal too. My community is back. Welcome back, community. Let's get a little more high. We'll find out what that news be doing. Still need a little more marijuana. Gonna be on edge all this week. Is Biden going to step aside? We're on Biden step aside watch instead of Biden dies of COVID watch. Oh, God damn. I should make that graphic, shouldn't I? The reason why I don't make more graphics is because the projects are so Adobe has gotten worse. I use the Adobe software to make my shit. I use it for, my actual job. And projects that are, more than a year old or something, they wig out. They do weird things. It's all kinds of little glitches. It's like playing a Bethesda game. All kinds of little glitches and bugs and shit. Like I had playback, but my playhead wasn't moving. And I had to look that up. I was like, "What? Why isn't my playhead moving?" It was like, "Oh, just reset your workspace." I did, and it fixed it. I'm like, "What?" Like, just strange little things. There's this really weird. Fair enough, him Lord. Fair enough. Before modern Bethesda took them over. Before Howard. People that record on their iPhone, if they some certain codec, you pull it into Premiere, and like it's just like it's all whited out, like it was overexposed when it was shot, but yet it looks fine when you're looking at it in from just your computer folder. And I never can remember. I don't deal with it enough. I've dealt with it often enough that people have been like, "Hey, can you fix this? Why does this happen?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah. I've done it before, but I never can remember how I fix it." This is the wildest thing. 200 juveniles in California caused a whole ruckus. I don't know what it was a disturbance at the Carson Mall.
Tonight in Carson, that's where several teens had to be taken into custody after authorities say a large group of kids caused a disturbance at the South Bay Pavilion Mall. The deputies arrived there just after 5 o'clock this afternoon. Reports of teens causing trouble inside. Officials say the crowd was disrupting business at the mall, which was actually forced to close about 3:30. Witnesses tell us that it was a small group of teens that started a fire in one of the trash cans, and then that led to the lockdown.
My nephew.
What, was it just teens being teens?
Got detained, and they had some kids had started a fire, put a fire in the trash cans, and so they detained over 100 kids. It used to be, they said it was only 30 that actually started the fires. I feel like they should only detain the ones that started the fire, not all the kids.
Yeah.
Deputies, we understand, spent about 5 hours there getting those teens to leave. Police say no thefts, though, and no injuries reported.
All we got was there was a fire. They didn't really tell us that the teens were doing much of anything else. Speaking of fire, apparently fire investigators on the scene in LA.
Fire investigators working to determine what sparked a historic house fire in University Park. This happened last night at an abandoned home just after 11:30 over on West 30th Street. Fire crews say 88 firefighters responded to the scene. When they arrived, it was fully engulfed in flames. It took crews 35 minutes to extinguish those flames. The two-story craftsman-style home was built in 1905, and it was over 4,000 square feet. No injuries have been reported.
It had been abandoned. A Florida man was arrested after trying to withdraw 1 cent from the bank. I thought this was America. Oh, do we not have a video? I gotta find a video of this. I don't know what this story is. I'm not a pre-watch Andy. We gotta find out though. Apparently there's like not a local station that did a news hit on it. Huh. I'm gonna try to use a video of it, but I'll just have to read it myself. It happened in Lady Lake, Florida. A Florida man is facing a felony robbery charge after he allegedly tried to withdraw 1 cent from a bank in Sumter County. The incident happened just before 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Chase Bank on US 441 in Lady Lake, according to an arrest affidavit. A man later identified as Michael Fleming walked into the bank and filled out a withdrawal slip for 1 cent and handed it to the bank teller. The affidavit said the bank teller reportedly told Fleming he couldn't withdraw a penny. So you want me to say the other word, Fleming told the bank teller, according to the arrest report. No other details about the alleged conversation were revealed in the affidavit, but deputies said the bank teller was in fear of possible violence, so she called law enforcement. Deputies arrived. Fleming was still inside the bank and was taken into custody. He was transported to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, where he agreed to speak with deputies after being read his Miranda rights. The details of his conversation were redacted from the report, but deputies said they had probable cause to believe Fleming did violate Florida's robbery laws. The 41-year-old man was transported to Sumter County Detention Center, where he remains on a $5,000 bond as of Tuesday afternoon. Man narrowly escapes. His truck smashes into his garage. I think they're saying that he had threatened to rob the place. And that's what the withdrawal slip for 1 cent was meant to represent.
I play a game by my phone. I hear something like fireworks. I am jumping like this. I'm looking over there. I see the pickup truck blue He's coming too fast. He hit the tree and he hit the sign.
It was around 8:30 Friday night on Steed Drive in Sterling Heights. After the street sign, an SUV parked in the street, a mailbox, and then this.
And I am stopped here. I don't know where I'm going, where he's coming after. Left or right to jump, I don't have a time. So he's coming to the car porch and he hit the everything here and go to the garage and boom, and he smoke. It's black smoke.
Rod Herfey ran to the front lawn and called 911. While investigators are working to determine how this happened, Herfey is trying to fully grasp what happened.
I got a new life today. New life.
Somebody was looking for you.
No. God, I got a God up. He helped.
Up.
Herfey knows
Oh.
in a different chair on the porch, or if he would have moved in a different direction, the outcome would have been incredibly different.
Hold on. Let me go back for you.
Investigators are working to determine.
To jump, I don't have a time. So he's coming to the car porch and he hit the everything here and go to the garage and boom, and he smoke. It's black smoke.
Rod Herfey ran to the front lawn and called 911. While investigators are working to determine how this happened, Herfey is trying to fully grasp what happened.
I got a new life today.
God, up there.
New life.
Somebody was looking out for you.
No. God, I got a God up. He helped.
Herfey knows if he would have been sitting in a different chair on the porch, or if he would have moved in a different direction, the outcome would have been incredibly different.
He pushed me in the garage with the stuff, with the everything, with the rock, with the everything. He take me with him. If I pass like this, he take me.
Meanwhile, Fox 2 is working to find out the condition of the driver in Sterling Heights. Camila Mary, Fox 2 News.
Working to find out the condition of the driver. We don't know. Me. I'm trying to. There's no update in this story. The crash is still under investigation. Oh, it's believed that the driver of the truck suffered a medical emergency. So somebody was having a stroke or a heart attack or something. I won't watch it again.
He helped.
God helped him.
Would have been sitting in a different chair on the porch, or if he would have moved in a different direction, the outcome would have been incredibly different.
Damn.
He pushed me in the garage with the stuff, with the everything, with the rock, with the everything. He take me with him. If I pass like this, he take me.
Meanwhile, Fox 2 is working to find out the condition of the driver in Sterling Heights. Camila Mary, Fox 2 News.
So yeah, it looks like he suffered some sort of medical emergency. Stroke, brain aneurysm, heart attack. I'm just speculating. I don't know. This is the video I've been looking forward to the whole show.
Meantime, take a look at this. A huge boat gets stuck in the LAX tunnel on Sepulveda Boulevard. It was headed from the marina in the northbound lane Thursday when it got wedged in from top to bottom. The owner apparently failed to calculate the measurements of the boat and the trailer it was riding on. Yeah, I'd say so. It took hours, by the way, to finally get the loose. Oh my. And meantime, take a look at this.
How did it get that far down? Because you can see the end of the tunnel down there. It may be a good mile already into the tunnel before it got lodged. That's fantastic. Maybe a half a mile.
The boat gets stuck in the LAX tunnel on Sepulveda Boulevard. It was headed from the marina in the northbound lane Thursday when it got wedged in from top to bottom. The owner apparently failed to calculate the measurements of the boat and the trailer it was riding on. Yeah, I'd say so. It took hours, by the way, to finally get.
Fuck that boat. Fuck that boat. I mean, if there is a God, he said fuck that boat. Up. Up. The old man said up. For those of you who are not wrestling fans, I want to inform you that Hulk Hogan is a racist. The reason we know this is because this is going to take some explaining if you don't know the story. This is why Gawker is not a thing anymore, by the way, people. Krill, good evening. Hulk Hogan was swinging with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife. So he's fucking Bubba's wife. Bubba's filming Bubba the Love Sponge, the washed up radio host that may have been relevant at the end of the 90s. He's fucking Bubba the Love Sponge's wife and doesn't know he's being recorded. And apparently, Brooke, his daughter, was dating a black man. And Hogan drops him in. As he's fucking Bubba's wife, is talking about how he doesn't want his daughter hanging out with racist slur. I'm sure, like, the tunnel is going to tell you outside of there. Is there video of this? I don't know if it exists. It was on Gawker. That's Bubba the Love Sponge sells the video to Gawker. That's how we have if it's on the internet, it exists, right? Clinically. But it was a Gawker story. And apparently, Hogan has a dick like a fucking Pringles can. And he's fucking. And this all kind of came out during the Gawker trial. There's a documentary about it. I think it was on Netflix. So that's why, like, Hogan ends up suing with the help of Peter Thiel because he wanted to get back at Gawker for outing that he was gay years ago. That's why we can't have nice things like Gawker. But Hogan was even fired from the WWE at the time because it's pretty racist what he said. So we can vouch that Hogan has a track record of racism. Beer brand ambassador claims Hulk Hogan fired her for being black. A former brand ambassador for Hulk Hogan's new alcoholic beverage line has claimed the wrestling legend fired her. What you gonna do, brother? After learning she is a black woman. On TikTok, Essence Janae made the accusation against the two-time WWE Hall of Famer. In her video, Janae shared a series of images with Hogan, proving that the two were working together. Janae also shared images of stacks of Hogan's new Real American beer beverage. Ah, fuck it. Took us to TikTok. Ah, fuck, it took us to TikTok. Well, we'll do it. So the caption says, POV, Hulk Hogan paid you to be a brand ambassador and canceled your contract the next day because he realized you were a black brand ambassador. I believe it, though. Hogan has not commented publicly on the accusation against him. Similarly, WWE has not made a public statement on the accusation. The Hulkster's most recent appearance for WWE came during an episode of Raw earlier this year that celebrated 40 years of Hulkamania. Brother! In 2015, Hogan was fired from WWE after racist remarks made in 2007 were shared online. In that video, Hogan disapproved of the idea of his daughter Brooke dating a black man and used the N-word during his rant. Hogan added that he is a racist to a point. In addition to being fired from WWE, Hogan was removed from the promotion's Hall of Fame, and he gave an apology to People magazine. 8 years ago, I used offensive language during a conversation. It was unacceptable for me to have used that offensive language. There is no excuse for it, and I apologize for having done it. Hogan's comments were widely condemned, though he did receive some support in the wrestling community. Virgil, the meat sauce. God, the meat sauce. I forget what he called himself. Something about meat sauce. Dennis Rodman and Kamala, all of whom Hogan had. Two of them are dead now. Dennis, watch your back. All of whom Hogan had worked with at some point or another, gave individual statements suggesting Hogan was not a racist and did not mean harm with his comments. Hogan was reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018 and made an appearance at the 3 years. That's all it took. Made an appearance at the Extreme Rules kickoff event that year. Hogan would return in a more prominent role to lead a team of superstars against Ric Flair's team at that year's Crown Jewel event. Hogan has been used sporadically since then and often received mixed responses from crowds, including as the co-host of WrestleMania alongside Titus O'Neil. They made him co-host with the black dude. Also, can we talk about last night at Money in the Bank? Drew McIntyre won the Money in the Bank. Cashed that motherfucker in later in the night to make the heavyweight title match a three-way. And then had CM Punk just beat the fuck out of him because the three-way match is no holds barred. Costing Drew McIntyre yet again. I love it. I think it's amazing. So into this storyline. I'm so ready to see CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I'm trying to get back. I don't even remember the story I was looking for now. But I had to go to my watch later. We're talking about wrestling. I decided not to put this story on my list, but since we're talking about wrestling, I'll kill a little time for you. That way, you're closer to producer Dave coming on. I don't know if he'll make it that far. I got a couple more stories. Got Jeff Jarrett giving a local news hit at a TV station. At least I thought I did. Oh, I had this father blames Nashville court for daughter's death. Larry the Cat about the Prime Minister. Fort Worth, man, just what's going on? We didn't do a story from Fort Worth tonight. I don't know where my Jeff Jarrett video did. I guess that's a sign we probably shouldn't even do it. Fuck Jeff Jarrett. Let's talk about Hurricane Beryl.
When it comes to keeping their residents safe. Right now, in fact, our partners down at Fox 26 in Houston, they are speaking with Houston Mayor John Whitmire regarding this tropical storm. And let's listen to what he is trying to advise residents do during this projected hurricane.
Of course, at this hour, Houston and surrounding areas are preparing for Tropical Storm Beryl.
And
what?
You did hear from Houston Mayor John Whitmire at his briefing for the upcoming storm, and he now joins us live tonight.
We didn't hear from him.
To speak with us. First, I was going to ask you, what message do you want to give to Houstonians tonight as this storm is approaching us just hours away?
I want to ask Houstonians to be very cautious, be smart.
Houstonians.
It's a very deadly storm. We cannot become complacent. This storm will kill. We must prepare. You must stay at home after, I would suggest, 10 o'clock tonight, unless you just have to go somewhere. We've asked city employees to work at home. HISD has canceled summer school, asking their employees to work at home. So what we have to do is have all hands on deck to help one another, help our neighbors, take care of your pets, all of the people that you would care about.
Please take care of your pets.
Press down and take care of them. All city departments are prepared. We've had repeated meetings for the last 24 hours. Every department, from our first responders, police and fire, have additional resources in place. Public Works is prepared. We've done everything we can as a city government. I've done everything I can. Now we need Houstonians to help themselves. Be prepared. The storm should have started arriving around midnight. It's moving faster than we anticipated. So
oh, wow.
2 to 6, we're going to have intense 60 to 70 miles per hour gusts of tropical storm. Then we're going to have rain, a minimum of 6, maybe as much as 10 and even 15 if it stalls out in any way. So we have time to be prepared. Let me just emphasize something. When you go to bed tonight, you wake up to a different set of circumstances in the morning. If you go to bed at 12, 10 tonight, 6 in the morning, you're going to find some flooded streets. You're going to find strong winds. You're going to have objects blowing around. No garbage pickup tomorrow. Take your containers and put them into safekeeping. Take backyard lawn furniture into safekeeping. This is a deadly storm. It's unpredictable, but we do have time to look out for each other, collaborate. I'm working with county commissioners, the state.
Preach it, skinhead.
We have done everything we can. Now, Houstonians, protect yourself, your family, and your property. We're doing our part. Let's get through tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow evening, see what the status quo is. We may cancel work on Tuesday, but most likely it'll be a fast-moving storm, and we'll be able tomorrow afternoon to say,
you just cancel work?
Another challenge. Houstonians are the best in the United States to come together and prepare and recover from a storm. We are.
I didn't know mayors had that power.
We're going to work all night long. I'm leaving here to ride with the police.
All night long.
Talk to our first responders. If we do what is smart and cautious and safe, think before you act. We're going to wake up tomorrow to strong winds, hard rain. There'll be street flooding. By tomorrow afternoon, I hope, as your mayor, I'll be able to say we did a great job, and collaboration made the
I agree.
City, county, state.
Fuck your job. Take care of yourself.
Bars ought to close early tonight. Everybody needs to get off the streets after 10 o'clock. Reduce the alcohol consumption. Close the bars. Be prepared for strong winds and strong rain.
Close the bars. Don't get drunk.
Briefly, Mr. Mayor, as you talk about the resources that are available, how impressed were you with sitting in that room with all of the department heads saying, Mr. Mayor, we can do this, 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 and this, and get ready to go?
I wish every Houstonian could see the professionalism and the devotion and commitment of our first responders. And let me just tell you, I include Public Works, the Health Department, all of our city departments in this environment are first responders. I'm so proud to be mayor.
He's yelling.
And be able to manage a meeting.
I mean, who am I to criticize?
For years have drilled for this. It's just sad in my mind that we got to have a storm to display how prepared we are. Let's hope this storm is short in length. And once again, I'm going to tell Houstonians, we live in the greatest city in America. We meet our challenges, our first responders and department heads, and the rank and file. Let me just tell you, the rank and file make our success so possible. So thank city employees when you see them out on the streets or in your neighborhood. They do a remarkable job. They're overworked, underpaid, and I'm going to do everything I can to bring this city together and move it forward. We have a great city, great people. We have challenges. We're working in many other areas of departments I'd love to talk about.
Law dogs leaving on a jet plane.
The water billing and
I should never fucking sing.
As a mayor, but tonight is public safety. Get through this storm and celebrate tomorrow that we recovered once more time from a serious matter.
All right, Mayor John Whitmire.
And thank you for allowing me to speak to Houstonians.
Yes, sir.
I kind of like him. He's so animated.
Whitmire there. Thank you so much for your time, and we will check back in with you a little bit later. Well, this evening, Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo held a news conference echoing the sentiment of other city and county leaders. Stay home and be weather aware.
The quote-unquote bad time, the worst time for us, will be from midnight tonight to noon tomorrow, as the eye of the hurricane makes its way north, literally right next to Harris County.
Now, I'm usually pretty ACAB,
Wind will be strong,
but she's a cutie.
Damage, fence damage, and damage to power infrastructure. We don't expect the wind to be strong enough.
And we got this Alex Jones looking motherfucker.
So it's not
doing the ASL.
Wind as what we had with derecho, where we had roofs blown off houses and trees falling in terms of major infrastructure impacted in that way.
I can fix her.
Authorities are warning Texas Gulf Coast residents tonight ahead of Beryl's landfall. What Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said next.
Guy's a piece of shit.
Thank you once again to our partners down there at Fox 26 in Houston. You saw an exclusive interview that they had with their mayor, John Whitmire, still urging residents to just be smart during this storm. He would really like to wake up tomorrow and Tuesday and say that they did it, they got through it, and everybody stayed safe, and there was no complications while riding out a tropical storm Beryl. A live look at our X-Rad weather system as we continue to monitor the latest. It's expected to make landfall early Monday morning, sometime between 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll have all the latest right after this quick commercial break. We're checking in with a storm chaser down there on the ground in Texas. Next.
Beryl. I think I want to stick around for that. That sounds like fun. This is a live look in Houston. Amazing shot. Probably about 9:30 there. I believe it's in the central time zone. You can see lightning in the distance reflecting off of that one building. It could just be the lighting in downtown Houston, though. They're preparing for Hurricane Beryl. I like how the mayor was like, close the bars, please close the bars. If you run a bar, please close it down. I feel like there's a reason for that, like something has happened in the past. It was about some issue that drunkenness. That's a gorgeous shot. What a skyline. Getting ready to be wrecked by Beryl. Streets are very calm, very empty.
From Fox, I'm your host, Carla Hara. We continue to track
Hey, Carla.
Storm Beryl all throughout the next several hours. Once again,
Beryl.
at our XRAD weather system, Beryl inching closer to
Beryl.
the Texas coastline. It remains a tropical storm right now, but it's likely to become a Category 1 or 2 hurricane when it makes landfall. We do want to check in with a nonprofit organization. They are based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but right now they have sent some of their team members over to Texas to help during Hurricane Beryl once it does make its landfall. I'd like to bring into the conversation now their storm chaser, Scott Peak. He is joining us live from Surfside Beach in Texas, about an hour away from Houston. Scott, thanks so much for being with us today. I know that it's very busy as we are anticipating Beryl to make its landfall.
Beryl.
Tell me, what are the conditions like right now? I know you're joining us from inside of your car.
Yes, yeah, that'll be my office for the next 24 hours is the vehicle I'm sitting in. Yes, I'm here in Surfside Beach, Texas.
You'll be wrapped up by like mid-afternoon.
Of the hurricane, so they're just now coming in. It just started raining, so we're anticipating more flooding to happen as we go through the night. And obviously I have an escape route just down the road. It's a really large bridge that we can go on. So I'm keeping myself safe from there. But right now the winds have picked up and there's not much in the way of flooding at the moment, but that will definitely change in the next several hours as we go through the night.
Scott, I want to bring up once again our XRAD weather system, something that we've been monitoring here, just seeing how Beryl is inching its way closer. You're saying you're seeing some of the rain. When did you get there today? How long do you expect to kind of ride out this storm? You did talk about that evacuation plan you have, which is a great idea, but tell me, how are you prepared to weather this?
Yeah, so I started out down the coast. I forgot the name of the town. It was Rockport, Texas, and Aransas Pass. Port Aransas, actually, and then Aransas Pass. And then worked my way to Rockport and then north to where I am now in Surfside. Along the way, I was constantly looking for those spots to find a spot that would be safe for me so I could do my
Beryl
chasing and also reporting to the United Cajun Navy.
United Cajun Navy?
Houston, Texas. So as I mentioned before, you're in Surfside Beach. It's about an hour away from
Looks peaceful right now.
Tell us a little bit more about the United Cajun Navy. As I mentioned before, based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but right now you're in Texas. So what kind of help is it that your organization hopes to provide to residents in the path of the storm?
So our goal is to report pretty much what we see to our partners so we can make informed decisions on things like setting up staging areas and rescue missions. So as part of what we do. So there's plenty of other things that we do. We do a lot of disaster relief.
It's not actual Navy.
There's many gears that are turning with it.
I was confused.
That's the main goal, especially when the storm's currently happening.
Being a storm chaser, I'm sure that you have been kind of in the midst of all of these powerful storms. We continue to say Category 1 hurricane. That's what it's expected to be. I think when people hear Category 1, they don't really think it's that serious. The categories go all the way up to 5. From your experience, what do you usually see when it is a Category 1 hurricane?
Yeah, well, I mean, any hurricanes that you deal with, you definitely want to take it seriously because things can change. Not many people realize that flooding is one of the deadliest weather occurrences in the United States. That's actually the #1 killer in the United States.
I thought we were going to get hit when she said, we're a storm chaser. I thought we were going to get his footage. No, that's not. We're not getting any storm chasing. Also, it's kind of calm right now. Very calm in Houston. I don't know what I've done. I've got some sort of player that's attached to YouTube that's popped up, and I don't know how I did it. I hate YouTube Premium.
For the White House. President Biden back on the campaign trail fighting for his political survival. Top House Democrats held a crucial meeting about his future today. Some are now saying privately in that meeting what 5 others have previously said publicly that Biden should step aside. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are weighing in on his ability to defeat former President Trump in November, and we are on the ground with voters. What they're saying about the president's future. ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang leads us off tonight.
Selena.
Tonight, growing panic in a meeting about President Biden's future, with several top House Democrats privately saying he should step aside. Sources tell ABC News Representative Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Takano, and Joe Morrell suggested Biden should end his campaign. Leader Hakeem Jeffries did not take a stance, the sources said. But President Biden on offense, hitting the campaign trail in battleground Pennsylvania, fighting to save his own candidacy.
And I, honest to God, have never been more optimistic about America's future if we stick together. I really mean it.
Visiting a black church in Philadelphia, then stopping by a campaign office. The president defiant, still confident in his party support.
Let's do a Lipa, right?
Even as more Democratic leaders lose confidence in him. 5 Democratic members of Congress now publicly calling for President Biden to drop out. Even Biden's closest allies acknowledge time is running out.
I believe that he can do it, but I think that this is a really critical week. I do think the clock is ticking.
And others questioning his ability to defeat Donald Trump.
He should be mopping the floor with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is running against a criminal. It should be even close, and there's only one who's close, and that's the president's age.
Biden trying to turn around his image, speaking exclusively with ABC's George Stephanopoulos.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
Well, that is the answer that most concerned me as well. This is not just about whether he gave it the best college try.
The goodest.
Rather, whether he made the right decision to run or to pass the torch.
Congressman Adam Schiff saying Vice President Kamala Harris, quote, very well could win overwhelmingly against Trump. In New Orleans this weekend, Harris trying to shift the focus back to the former president.
This is probably the most significant election of our lifetime. You have the former president who is running to become president again, who has openly talked about his admiration of dictators and his intention to be a dictator on day one.
These next few days could be make or break. Congress returns on Monday. They'll be having more intense discussions about the president's future. It could open the floodgates for more to publicly call on the president to step aside. And all eyes will be on the president during the NATO summit, watching to see if he can show his leadership on the world stage. Lindsay?
All right, Selena Wang from the White House for us. Thanks so much, Selena.
I think if it happens this week. It happens this week if it happens. So be on the lookout. Do you know who Tim and DTV are? You ever heard of them? Good night, clinically. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. Tim and DTV started the viral moment which led to the Haktua Girl summer. They're revealing they're missing out on the benefits. They're upset they ain't famous. Tim Diggerson and Darius Marlowe, the duo behind Tim and DTV and the Hawk Tua Girl, are a bit miffed they are sitting on the sidelines of her virality. Marlo, 24, and Dickerson, 25, sat down with the New York Times to offer their side of the story as Haley Welch, the Hawk-Tua girl, spits. That was a Freudian slip. Jumps on... is that really a Freudian slip, though? It's a slip. Jumps on stage with Zach Bryan, cashes in on $65,000 worth of merchandise, and runs the podcast circuit. While their Instagram and YouTube pages have seen bumps in likes and views since their infamous June interview with Welch exploded in popularity, the two aren't getting nearly as much attention as Welch. At the end of the day, nobody would know who she was if we didn't bring it to light and post it, Marlo told the New York Times. This is apparently the original video here.
You gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
Him and DTV.
Look, this is finna be lit. We finna ask these people some crazy.
What's one move in the bedroom that make a man go crazy every time that you do?
Wow, that top. I don't mean to comment on a woman's looks, but wow.
Let's see. That Glock on 3000.
What do you do?
That's the secrets for the bed.
Is that something I'll be able to find out later?
No. You got a baby at home. She does need a stepdad. Yeah, what a blast.
What's one move in the bedroom that makes a man go crazy?
Back shot. Any.
Any?
It happened anytime.
You just got it like that. Whatever move you got.
Back, front.
Back, front, side to side. It don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You wildin'.
It doesn't matter.
You got it like that though?
It doesn't matter.
Oh. Don't do that.
You gonna make me act up.
Get y'all friend, man. What's going on? No. Who? Me? You want me to stop? Oh, okay. You gotta stop.
This wanted inside of her mouth.
It don't matter what move I do, you're gonna go crazy anyway, so.
Tell them.
Give me the mic.
Oh, yeah. Talk your. I got a question for you. What's one move in the bedroom that'll make a man go crazy?
So what I do is when I sit on the and I spin around with it still inside.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a Beyblade?
I'm a split on the spin around with the still inside. So I'm gonna start facing you, riding your, and then I'm gonna spin around like this. And I'm like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Milwaukee. That's what we do there.
You live in sexual anarchy?
What's one move in the bedroom that make a guy go crazy?
Milwaukee. That's what they do. They spin around on dicks in Milwaukee. God damn it. They spin around on dicks in Milwaukee. Welch, 21, has already amassed a following triple that of Marlo and Dickerson's Instagram page. Speaks through a lawyer and is managed professionally. Marlo told the New York Times that when he reached out to Welch, her lawyer reached back. The two are fighting tooth and nail to protect what they what little they have as well, according to the New York Times. They have filed 50 copyright strikes against hijackers who have stolen their videos of Welch. The parent travels across the country to find crowded streets spilling out with drunken partygoers and bar crawlers to ask some of the most pressing questions facing humanity. We're not pressuring nobody or nothing. We're just capturing the vibe. That's what we do best. Dickerson told the New York Times of their Girls Gone Wild-esque interviews. The interview with Welch, paces from Nashville's Johnny Cash Museum, did not start auspiciously as Marlo asked some of his go-to questions. What would you say to your last body? What's your type? What makes you wifey material? With Welch wandering off and her friend losing focus, Marlo reeled the two back with his now famous question, what's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time? You got the Hawk-Tua. Reverse thread. Oh, I came on a little bit early and got high. We just got high and listened to music. And then we came on at 8. It's actually been like a 2-hour and 40-minute stream. Yeah, that's how long I've been recording. The Troll Patrol. I'd been on stream for longer than that, but the Troll Patrol has been... Right, I try to hit the sweet spot between 2.5 and 3 hours. That's where I think the sweet spot is for the Troll Patrol. This is the last story. Next one is puppies. So the dudes that interviewed the Haktua girl, they big mad. They are not getting the fame that she is getting. I was kind of trying to I was trying to keep everybody company until Dave came on. Oh, you know what I could? I'll flip back and do music again for a few minutes. We can do that. Here are puppies before and after they've been told that they're the goodest boys or girls. I don't like it won't let me make it big. Hold on here, yeah. God damn it. I hate all these different social media accounts, the shitification of the internet. Everything sucks. Everything gets worse. I can believe that, Krill. Puppies before and after they were told that they were the goodest boy or girl. Eddie. Dexter's a cutie too. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to say goodbye to you. We're going to stay on Twitch for another few minutes. I'm going to flip back to the fucking around stream. So, bye-bye to the podcast, bye-bye to YouTube. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you sometime soon, at least by Thursday. Biden may step down Monday or Tuesday, so who knows? I might be popping on telling you Biden no longer the nominee. See you soon on the Troll Patrol Live.